Hello everyone, this is Open Gyan House, and in this video I will talk about most common issue of Linux operating system, and I will also share debugging and troubleshooting approach. So I will cover the Linux disk partition issue. So suppose your disk partition got full and you have to find or delete a huge file from system. So this video will definitely help you to find any file or directory and you don't know the path, and if you want to grab any error from particular log file, so how you can do this. And if you want to compare two different file in Linux, so I will share some step. And if you are facing any issue related to your RAM or CPU, so what are the command that will definitely help you. And if you want to debug any network related issue, so that will also I cover. And I will also talk about the SSH login related issue and how you can debug it. And if you want to kill any process forcefully in Linux, so how you can do this. And here I have mentioned the timing, so I don't want you guys to keep here for all the video. If you're looking for any particular issue, so you just click on your time stream in your YouTube video and you can start from there. So suppose you want to check for CPU and RAM issue, so you have to go to the 9 minute and 45 second. Okay, so hope this information is useful to you guys. Okay, so let me discuss about one of the most common issue of Linux operating system, which is related to your disk partition. So I want to show you, like, if you are facing your disk partition issue very frequently in your environment and you have no clue like which file or which directory is consuming the huge data, so how you can determine in this file or directory and how you can like take action accordingly. If you want to remove or chip, so how you can do this. So you can see I have a slash partition in this system, and which is having around 28 GB size, and out of 28, 24 GB is already used, so around 90% of disk or partition already being used, and I have no clue which file is like consuming this partition. So I just switch to the slash path in which I want to find the file, and then I have to execute the command du hyphen sh and asterisk for all the file and directory which is present in slash partition. So if you are running this command very first time in your system, so it will take some time because it calculates the data. So here this command worked for me quickly because I have already executed this command earlier. So you can see the home partition or home directory is having around 17 GB of data. So let's go to the home path, and again you can run the command ls-l to list all the file and directory. So you can see there are also again the multiple file and directory. Hey, you have no clue in which file you have to check. So again you have to run the command du-sh, and here you can see the OpenGAN house is having around 13 GB of data. So let's go to the OpenGAN house, and in OpenGAN house again you have to run the command to check in which file or directory I have to move. So you can see the log directory is having around 12 GB of data. So let's cd to the log directory, and here you can see there are multiple log files are there which is having data in GB size. So you can truncate or delete this file. So suppose the system.log you want to retain here, but system1.log file you can remove. So you can remove this file directly using the rm command, rm-rf. So this will remove this file, and it will also reduce the size of your disk. So my disk size is around 79%. And if you want to truncate a file, so you have to run the command greater than sign and then the file name system.log, because you are like assuming there are some runtime application which is running and you don't want to remove this file from your system. So I just truncated this file. So now this file is having around no data. This file is having no data, but file is there. So I am hoping this information is useful to you, and it will help you to like remove unused file or directory from system to debug your disk partition issue. So now I want to talk about find and grab command. So suppose you want to find your httpd conf file. You don't know where exactly it placed, or you don't know about the path of this configuration file. So you can run the command like find slash. So slash will start searching from root, and you have to pass name and the file name. The file name is httpd.conf. So it will search from slash, and it will show you the result, like where exactly the httpd conf is placed. So you can see there are two results. The path is etc httpd conf and the httpd conf. The other is placed at temp files. And if you're looking for any particular directory, so you can run the command find, and then again you want to search from slash, so you can pass slash. And if you want to search in home, so you can pass home as well. And then you have to pass the type, and then if you are searching for directory, so you have to give the option D, and again you have to provide the name. So open Gyan house, so I'm searching for open Gyan house directory in home path. So you can see this is the path. And if you want to search for httpd, so you have to pass httpd. Okay, and let's search from root. So it is on etc httpd, and these are all the path. Okay, so this is very useful if you don't know about the location, and if you want to find any particular file or directory, so you can use the command. And if you want to grab any error from any particular log file, suppose I want to go to the var log, and here there are some log file like last log or messages, and I want to grab any error message. So what are the messages which are present in my message file? So I can easily run command grab and then error from this file. Okay, and if you want to grab error for all the file which are present in varlog, so you can run this command. So it will show some like result. So these are all the error which are present in this. These are the file. So guys, this information is very this command is very useful, like if you want to grab any particular error, or if you want to find any file or directory, so you can use these command. Okay, so here I want to talk about if I want to compare two different file, and if I want to see the difference between two configuration file content, so how I can check. So suppose I want to check the backup and the main configuration file content, and what are the difference between these two files. So what are the things that I have to do. So let me check for my httpd conf. So let's go to the etc httpd conf path, and here you can see there are one file is like httpd.conf file, and the other file is its backup file. And I want to check what are the difference between these two files. So I have to run the command diff httpd-conf and then httpd-conf underscore backup. So you can see these two lines are extra in this file, because you can see there is the greater than sign, and the second file is httpd-conf backup. If I change the sequence, like if I compare httpd-conf backup with my httpd-conf, so it will show like http-conf is not having these two lines. Other than that, all the content of both the file is same. So you can use like this diff command. This is very useful, like if you doing or managing any configuration in your Linux box. And you can also use the command dash diff. So diff command will show the output like in terminal with both the files. So you can see like these are the line are present in this file, and these three line are extra here. Hope this information is useful to you guys. Okay guys, so like if you are having any CPU or RAM related issue, like your resource utilization is very high and you want to check like which process is consuming the high CPU RAM. So the first and most useful command is top. So top will show you the current status of your CPU or RAM. So you can see like I have one CPU there and the idle status is around 90%, so which seems to be fine, and my user is having around 10% of CPU used and system is using around 3 to 4%. So this seems to be good, and these are all the process which is consuming my CPU. So the main process is XORG and the genome. So if you want to quit from top command, so you have to press Q, and for checking the status of your RAM you have to run the command free. So the total size is around 2 GB of my RAM in my Linux VM, and 1 GB is available, and you can see like use free and buffer memory in this command. And one more command which I can use is SAR. This command will also give the result of my CPU utilization in current time. And if you want to see how many CPU are there and is configured and which model I use, so you can use the command cat CPU info, proc CPU info. So these are the basic stuff, and if you want to kill any thread or process, so you can like kill using the kill command, which I have already shared in this video. So hope this information is useful to you. If you are debugging or troubleshooting any network related issue, so let me show you some command. So the first command is very useful, is ifconfig. So this command will show you all the configured interface with the IP address, and the other command you can also use is IP space A for the IP addresses. And few more command, one command is dmessage. Dmessage command is also very useful to check all the network interface status, and if you are getting any packet from outside this command will definitely help you. And one more command for network is dmid code, and if you want to capture any packet in any your interface, so you can also run the command tcp dump. So tcp dump hyphen I any interface and the packet size 0. And if I try to log in from any other host, let me try to log in from my window machine. So I am expecting there might be some packet with the SSH protocol. Here you can see my window host IP is there. So this is the very good command if you want to trace any network related issue. And the few more command is ping and telnet. So you can use this command for your network related stuff. So I have already one video for ping and telnet. I will share the link so you can have a look on that video in detail. So guys, this is the information, like if you are trying to debugging any network related issue. So if you are facing any login related issue, or if you are not able to log in your Linux machine, so few things that I recommend to check. Like first you can check your SE Linux status. So you can use the command SE status to check like whether SE Linux is running or not, and if there are like SE Linux is already running in your machine, so you have to manage some booleans configuration and you have to set some rule. And you can also check your IP tables like your firewall using the command IP table -l. And again, like if you are still like want to check like from which host anyone trying to log in, so you can go to the path where log audit, and here you can find one log file. So you have to tail this log file. So once you tail this log file, so it will show real-time result. And if you try to log in from any host or any server, so like that log will print in that audit file. So here like from one of my another host, I try to log in into my Linux machine, and you can see like log is like already here, and the you can see like some host like Windows Server, the IP address is this, and it's login successfully. So these are all the information that you can find in audit log. And like, if one more thing I want to show you, like if you are SSH doing SSH to any other host, so you can also use the option -vvv. So it will like show some log file at the time of login. So suppose I want to log in into this IP and I use command -vv, so it will show some result or some log at the same time. So you can see the connection is not established on port 22 in this host. So this is basic information about your login. So you can need to check your IC Linux, and you need to check your IP tables, and for login related log you can check your message or audit log. And if you are doing SSH, so you can also use -vvv option. I hope this information is useful. So if you want to kill any particular process, or if you want to kill any particular open thread in your Linux machine, so how you can do this? So suppose you are facing issue with your Apache or HTTPD server, and you want to kill few thread. So first you have to check what are all the open thread are there. So you can use the command ps space -ef, then you can grab with the process name. So you can see there are three thread is running in HTTPD. So if I want to kill, so I can use the command kill space -9, then I have to pass the PID. So let me kill this thread using the PID 5666 and 5669. And once I kill, so after that if I run the command ps-ef, so I can see like there is no open thread. And after that I can easily like check the status or restart my Apache server systemctl status HTTPD, it is in failed state, and then I can take the stop and start. Okay, and once I start it, so it will be like in active state and running fine. So guys, this is it about if you want to kill any thread or process, so how you can do this. Hope this information is useful to you.